Yeah, so I think what she's getting at is basically I had a little bit of a klepto stage or spree that isn't really going on anymore, but I'm pretty sure all of you guys have been complicit at some point.
I think complicit is the
Okay.
wrong word.
I was not complicit. I was proud. Let's be very, very clear about that. I was proud.
Welcome to your last podcast, the last podcast in the game, but the first you should listen to. I'm your host, Colton Simpson. And with me this week, to my right, we have the amazing Grace Tatigian.
Hello, hello.
And to my left, it's our resident audiophile, William Ham Clark.
Hola.
And at the end of the table, it's Mr. Listen himself, Josh Vey.
What he had.
So what is your last podcast? We're a conversational podcast where each week we bring a topic of conversation to argue amongst ourselves and talk it out for your amusement. But before I go too much further, we have to say thank you. The response to our first episode was overwhelming. Our YouTube video received over 300 views. The 30-second teaser reached over 2,000. And we had over 5,000 people visit our page. So, I mean, that's pretty incredible for the first episode. So we have to say thank you for that.
Yes.
Thank you very much,
Yeah,
folks.
that's unbelievable, guys. It wasn't nice to see someone besides Mother logged in to have a watch. That's good.
Yeah, so thank you for that. So whatever you're doing, if you're liking, commenting, sharing with friends, whatever you're doing, just keep it up and keep doing it. If you'd like to support the show in a different way, we are on Patreon, so patreon.com/yourlastpodcast, and you can pledge $1, $2, $5, whatever you feel comfortable with, or you don't have to pledge at all. But if you do, it really helps us support the show and hopefully create more things in the future. So with that out of the way, Josh,
Yes.
what's your topic?
Okay, so I figured this time I would start with something a little bit different. And my topic for this week is your criminal comfort zone. And that's a term that was said to me by my Uncle Steve. So if you're watching Uncle Steve, it's your second in the limelight. So your criminal comfort zone is basically things that you've done yourself or things you watch other people do that were illegal. So, spoiler alert. There is going to be some illegal activity here involved, but
Don't lock me up.
yeah, don't lock us up. I mean, it's nothing major, but have you ever done anything illegal that you felt was justified? Or have you ever bore witness to someone else do something illegal that you thought, oh, well, you know, I know it's wrong, but it's not that bad, so we'll give that one a pass. You know what I mean? So that's essentially your criminal comfort zone. So I'll kick it off with my own personal comfort zone and my limits. So as you know, we all here have gone to Memorial University, right? I don't know if it was the first year or the second year. I'm going to say it's the second year university.
It was the second year, yeah.
Right, because we both had vehicles. And for those of you that don't know, parking at the university is an absolute nightmare. An absolute nightmare. It's a travesty. So the way it works is basically you go in, you enter into a lottery, right? And your chances of winning this lottery are about the same as 649. Impossible. Never going to happen. You're never going to get a parking pass. So here I was trying to figure out where in the hell am I going to park my car, right? It's a bloody nuisance trying to figure out where you're going to park all the time. And if you're feeding the meters constantly, I mean, I'm not bucks deluxe. I can't afford that. So
No.
You might as well just get the tickets at that point because $20 a pop or what
Yes.
is it, $2 an hour? Like,
yeah, for the
I
amount
mean-
of times you get caught, there might actually be like a good cost benefit ratio there for just taking the ticket and going for it, right? I don't know. I'm not a business student. But anyways, so we came up with a way, and I say we because our resident Christian crook over here was involved in this one. So
oh no.
we figured out a way to get around that and usurp that system. And what the idea was at the time was, let's go around and take a picture of those little stickers that they shove up there in the window, right? Like with number 9 for parking space number 9, and then a couple of numbers or a couple of letters under that, right, for serial number. So we took a picture of that, brought it home. I give it to our artiste over here, and he doctored it up. What did you use for that anyways?
I mean, back then I just used paint. It was nothing fancy, but through some pixel art back in the day with our friend Chris, I kind of learned how to use paint pretty well. So all I did is I took the picture that, I can't remember if you took it or I took it, but I took the picture we had and I just brought it directly in the paint and I just recreated it just by looking at it like one to one. Yeah, just matching the fonts, matching the size, the lettering, everything.
But it was beautiful. The end product was absolutely gorgeous. Like, you would never tell the difference, right?
If I have a picture of it, I'll throw it in the episode somewhere.
For sure.
Now, so you can
For
see
sure.
it.
So,
yeah.
what did we do right away, right? So we got these, boom, boom, two little nice little facsimiles here. And we said, well, we got her now. We got her scald. So we took them, and we said, we're going to display these up in the car, right? And we should be able to park wherever we want. The world's our oyster now. We got the dirty deed done, so we should be able to just haul in. No one will ever know the difference. So I think it worked for, I want to say, 2 months. Does that seem right to you?
Yeah, it was longer than I expected. I remember it looked pretty bad. It was obvious that it was not the ones administered by CEP, but it worked for a couple of months.
It was such a sin, too, because the product was beautiful, right? And it was just, I don't know what I was thinking in terms of, why did I hang this in such a stupid way? Like, it looked so dumb. It was all squint up on the slant like that, right? So I don't know what was going through my mind at the time. But anyways, like all good things, they have to come to an end, right? So one day, I looks down in the parking lot. I had the car parked. She was there for the better part of the morning, at least for sure. And I looked down, and I sees the CEP car, the campus enforcement, right? And I said, I knew right away. I said, oh, for fuck's sakes. I said, he's after seeing that now, guaranteed. And he's all amped up because this is his first chance to make his first arrest here now in the 9 years he worked here, right? So anyways, so I darted out, ran across the sidewalk. Soon as I hit the unlock button for the door, it was like he decloaked, just like a Romulan warbird. He just decloaked, and there he was. He pulled up right behind me, rolled down the window, lights on, going, right? Just like something off Cops. So anyways, so he jumped up, and he said, is this your vehicle, sir? And I knew it was no good to lie at that point, right? Not yet. It was no good to lie then, because he could just look me up on the system, plug in the license plate. Oh, yeah, that's Josh's car, right? So I said, yes, sir, this is my vehicle. And he come up, and he said, is that your parking pass? And I said, well, and before I got a chance to sort of jump into it, he said, let me answer that for you. It's not. He said, I ran the number, and it doesn't match your license plate, so what's going on here? And I said, well, sir, I said, if you let me finish for a second, I said, I was coming in this morning, and I seen this vicious glare coming off the road when I was coming in. Must have been the sun or something, right? And I pulled over to see what it was, and lo and behold, there's this parking pass hove off on the ground like nobody owned it. So I picked it up and figured I'd drop it off to you after class. I'm just finishing up now. I was going to come over and see you anyways. So he looks at me kind of bewildered, right? And he goes, well, he said, you realize that that's considered theft, right? He's like, this pass does not belong to you. Like, I ran this pass, and it's associated with a totally different name besides you. And I said, I would hope so. I said, it's not mine. I just told you I found it around the corner. Right? Makes sense. I could tell by the way he was getting on that whatever he was processing through his head was far more serious than what I had anticipated, right? So I started to get a little bit nervous. And then the genius, the eureka moment kicked in then, right? And I said, listen, I'm going to tell you now. Between you and me, I don't know if that pass is real, but. And he looked at me kind of funny, right? And he picked up the pass, and he peeled the pocket protector off, right? And as soon as he put his fingers to it, he knew right away that it was just printer paper, right?
Staples.
Yeah, it was just garbage, right? And he looks up at me, his eyes right wide, and he goes, you're right. He said, that's not a real pass. This is a forgery. Like, right serious, too, right? Now, in my head, I did not know at the time, fuck, did I just like open up a totally different can of worms here? Like, is my escape plan here going to backfire on me type of thing? So, in the meanwhile, while all this was going down, across the parking lot, Skipper over here is over in the Mustang, started up watching the whole thing, taking it all in, right?
Yeah, I gave him shit last week for leaving me on the streets of New York, but I mean, when I saw the CEP involved with
fucking gone like a dirt.
Yeah, left in the dust.
Yeah, so anyways, that was all fine and good. He didn't really know what to do, this cop. He wasn't really sure because obviously this was far beyond anything that he has ever done before, right? So he goes and he says, we'll be in touch. And I never heard from him again. Never heard from him again. So I guess whatever it was, I slid through the cracks or something like that. But that was probably one of the most nervous times I was. That was right fringing on my criminal comfort zone, but I was still well inside it.
Yeah, I mean, and when we did that, I searched up the university guidelines before we did it, and it wasn't listed there for anything about the forgery of a parking pass. But it did have a little note about if you were to do something outside of the guidelines, the maximum fine was $20, which just so happens to be the cost of a parking ticket at MUN.
Yeah.
So, I
Risk
mean,
and reward, right?
I mean, we got 2 months of free parking with it, so.
That is true. That is true. But anyways, yeah, I figure that was my little story that I'd throw in and get us started with. So, Grace, I'm interested to know more so than anyone else here because I know a little bit more about them. Where's your criminal comfort zone?
My criminal comfort zone is very, very small. One thing I'm notorious for, and you guys are all going to laugh at me because you're not even going to say it's criminal. I'm a terrible jaywalker.
Oh my God.
I'm a terrible, terrible jaywalker.
Lock her up.
I did not even know what that was the first 18 years of my life until I left Goose Bay.
Really,
So,
though?
It's back home, everybody jaywalks. And it's particularly bad because no one obeys the traffic laws anyway. So I don't know why people think it's a good idea to be jaywalking when, you know, people are running red lights and not using their turn signals and stuff like that. But anyway, yeah, no, I'm really bad for jaywalking. And that's probably that's my criminal comfort zone. But
very tiny criminal comfort zone.
Colton knows that because on one occasion he enlisted my help in a crafting activity, which I think was a good choice on his part. I love to craft.
Very good choice. Very good choice.
And there were certain tools you needed to do this crafting activity.
Yeah, so I think what she's getting at is basically I had a little bit of a kleptos stage or spree that isn't really going on anymore, but I'm pretty sure all of you guys have been complicit at some point.
I think complicit is the wrong word.
I was not complicit. I was proud. Let's be very, very clear about that. I was proud.
Anyway, so we had, I don't know if you were planning on telling this story.
Part of it, I mean, yeah, we needed a what's it called? Like
X-Acto knife.
An X-Acto knife and like a bones. Is it a bone spreader?
A bone folder.
Bone folder, yeah, we needed that. And they were pretty pricey at the place we were shopping at, which I won't say. But the place we were shopping at was pretty pricey. And Grace kind of was like, we don't really need those things. So, I mean.
I was like, we can make it work with the other craft supplies I have at home. It's no big deal.
Yeah, so I left it for then. But Grace didn't really realize that when she went to a different aisle, or I think she might have turned around or not. I went down to tie my shoe. And when I tied my shoe, I took the bone?
The bone folder and the
bone
X-Acto
folder.
knife.
And I just slid it in my shoe.
You never learned that in Sunday school. That's for friggin' well sure.
Well, I mean, you didn't even know until we got into the car.
I had no idea.
No.
Because we got to the car and I went to go open the door and you then reached down and pulled up your pant leg like it was some kind of reveal like in a prison movie or something like that and pulled this knife out of your shoe like, ha-ha, like I could not believe it. I think I yelled at you. I was like,
oh, yeah.
You committed a crime and I was present. Now I'm going to go to jail. Anyway, I was not pleased, but it happened.
Yeah.
I suppose it didn't turn you into the police, so maybe my criminal comfort zone's a little bit wider than just jaywalking, but still pretty small.
That's good, though. That's interesting to know. Yours is very small, whereas obviously mine and his is much larger. But Ham, if you're done, I think I want to ask Ham now. Like, what's your criminal comfort zone? What do you think?
Me? I'm not really like someone who like steals shit, unlike someone over here. But I've been a lookout from like time to time, or probably like 50% of the time, if we're being honest, because I lived with you for like years.
The thing is, I am somebody that I steal things, but it's petty theft, and I have.
It's Robin Hood over here.
I have a thief's code. Like I don't steal from places I work. I don't steal from family and friends. And what I steal is like stuff that is like I think the most expensive thing I've ever stole is like $10. Like it's not what I steal. It's like not even really worth stealing. Like I steal for stupid shit. Like when it's like I go to Walmart, I need something embarrassing like wart cream for my foot, and I look at the lineup and it's 20 people long, and I'm like, this little package is like this big. I mean, they're never going to notice if it goes missing. It's Walmart. It's a huge chain. I'm not going to take them down with stealing this wart cream. So, yeah, I mean, in terms of what I steal, it's pretty small.
Plus, they fucking judge you when you go up to the counter.
Well,
Plus, fuck Walmart.
Who wants to buy wart cream? Nobody wants to buy wart cream. I mean, that's why half the shit in that section is stolen. Nobody wants to buy it.
True, yeah, that's true.
But, yes, Ham has been a little bit complicit.
I would say I'm more like an accomplice at this point.
Yeah,
they still go to jail though. You know that, right?
Well, he's the lookout, but he's also the stand right there, and the camera can't see anything guy. which, you know,
Okay.
I mean,
All right. So
we're not locked up yet. So
No,
I mean,
but other than that, just like graffiti, I think is like the worst thing I've done. Like,
art. But anyways, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, but yeah, no, like just drawing like Slayer on shit or like upside down crosses or like dumb shit like that. Like I don't think like that's the worst thing. Like I could like brush that off if you want, I guess. Or
I'm
whatever.
upset that you call his art, but not me. When I walk by a Kool-Aid single, you don't even notice it. Gone.
Wasn't Kool-Aid. That was Crystal Light. Big difference. For everyone out there
Sorry.
watching, know your stuff, right? Know your shit. And yeah, no, I was very impressed by that. I don't know if I'd call it art, but it was definitely
it's
crafty.
Performance art.
You were pretty
The
keen.
sleight of hand, I mean, is magic art. I don't know.
Absolutely.
Well, there you
we
go. Sleight of hand.
Generally, they don't steal the fucking dogs,
No.
though, before the show.
No.
I just distraction and
Yeah.
gone.
hmm
Okay.
The prestige when I bring it back up at the end.
Very good, yeah. So, I
Did you
guess...
have a particular story, Colton, besides the ones that we told for you?
I mean, like in terms of my comfort zone now, it's I don't steal anymore. Like this
No.
type of thing.
No, we gotta let people in and just say we need to steal from Walmart. Steal from Walmart more, please.
Don't steal from Walmart.
Just
Don't
take
steal.
them down, take them down. But the thing is like I stole at times. A lot of time, it's like when I'm low on money. It's the type of thing. If I have $20 in my bank account and to buy, I don't know, this thing of wart cream, it's $10. So it's like, well, I don't really have a whole lot of money to go around, and so a lot of times it is like that. But one that I'm very comfortable with and that I'll pretty much readily admit to anybody, both involves movies. Obviously, piracy. I'll do it all the time.
yeah.
When I was in Toronto, a lot of people kind of looked down on me for piracy, like, you know, because
Sure.
I'd readily admit, like, yeah, I'll pirate movies, especially like growing up in Goose Bay.
Yeah,
Like, we're not seeing any indie shit in Goose Bay. I mean, all we're getting is like Marvel movies that are 3 months old, and I theater hop, and I don't even want to really admit this just in case anybody ever sees it at the theater, but there's lots of times I'll theater hop where basically, if you're unfamiliar with what theater hopping is, it's you pay for one ticket, but if you're a film buff or a movie buff, you'll pay for one ticket and you'll just walk into the next theater afterwards. You got 2 or 3 movies you want to see. You paid for one, you're already in. See 3 movies. Now,
That's minor, though.
Well, that's what I'm
minor.
saying,
That's like
like-
walking down the aisle in the supermarket and having a handful of grapes or something.
Well, yeah.
Nothing major, right?
well, and that's kind of what I'm saying. Like nowadays, that is a lot more in my comfort zone. The thing is like, I do realize, yes, theater hopping is stealing, but the people at the theater know me. They see me walking from movie to movie. They always say, hey, man, how's it going? It's like, it doesn't even matter. And when I went to Toronto, it was funny because people looked down on me for piracy. They did not look down on me for theater hopping. And theater hopping is like literally, you know, you're taking.
You're taking money from
Yeah,
someone.
It could have been $12 for another ticket, right? But so it's strange. Yeah. So piracy and I guess theater hopping is kind of what I would do nowadays. Yeah.
I'm gonna bring up another thing just because like
Go ahead.
this is something that us three, sorry Grace, were like bad for doing like back in the day, like just like trespassing in general. Like
Oh,
we were
yeah.
so bad for
Oh
that.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And like I'd probably still do like,
Exploring ham. Choose
Yeah.
your words.
Urban explorers.
Urban exploration. I like to think of myself as an Indiana Jones of Seaside.
Or, you know, tempting tetanus. That's
Yeah.
another way of putting it. A lot of the buildings we went
Yeah.
into.
But I mean, we're not breaking into buildings nowadays. But yes,
No,
If it-
I think I'd still do that shit. I don't know.
I think so too. If it was the type of thing where, hey, this is a sketchy looking building, maybe it could be a filming location. Maybe I'd like to use it in the future. If it was the type of thing where I got to jump in a window of an old building, I'm probably gonna jump in the window. Like I
can never get control of my knees. I'm all for going into the grace. All for it for going in there. It's just if I can get over my fear of ghosts and the paranormal and stuff
and
like
heights.
that. And heights.
and
yeah.
heights. Yeah.
100%. Okay, so guys, I think that pretty much wraps up Criminal Comfort Zone. So let's move on to, I'll throw it over to Colton there now, I guess.
Yeah, and just the 91st Academy Awards were this past Sunday. So, and for the first time in 91 years, it's the first time they've never had a host. So I was actually pretty shocked by this. They did have a host announced. It was Kevin Hart, or was supposed to be, and I'm not really going to get into why he didn't wind up hosting. And
White America.
could have been. But I just kind of wanted to throw it to the table. If you had to pick a host for this year's Oscars, who would you pick? I know a lot of us here don't really care about the Oscars. I think I was the only one that actually watched it live. And I mean, I think most people kind of just catch the highlights on YouTube or on whatever entertainment news source they use each week. But this year, I think the show actually went a lot better without a host. So, you know, if we had to throw a host, you know, we go back a week before it was actually we knew that it wasn't just a dumpster fire, it wasn't a complete and utter disaster, who would have you casted as the host of this year's Oscars? And, you can take it as seriously as you want, but I'll answer last on this one. I'll throw it to Grace first, see who she would have chose as the host of your 91st Academy Awards.
Well, I'm certainly not the only one to think this. I know that we've had this chat before. I am a huge, as you can see from the table, Hamilton fan, and I think Lin-Manuel Miranda would have been exceptional. He's great in everything. He's he comes alive in front of a crowd like it's really his thing. And I just think he would have had so much fun with it. He's so fast on his feet. Now, mind you, I am not a watcher of the Academy Awards. The only awards show that I'll watch is the Tonys, again, Broadway. But I think that he would have done an exceptional job. But I know he has said in the past that hosting an award show is not something that interests him at all. I know he has written for live awards shows. He actually won an Emmy for writing for awards shows in the past, but he said he would not want to get up in front of people and perform.
Did he ever host the Tonys before?
No, he hasn't.
Okay,
yeah.
well, I mean,
And
if he was going to host anything, it'd probably be the Tonys.
Exactly,
That,
that's the thing, he would host first, right? But apparently, this is a question that often gets asked of him. I've read, and he said it's not for him. He's all for the backstage, making sure everything goes smoothly, but not getting up in front of the crowd, which I always found surprising because he loves a crowd.
Yeah, I mean, Hamilton is huge, so yeah, it's a little bit strange. Josh, who would have you chose for the host of the 91st Academy Awards?
Well, basically, from everything I sort of just read, and I did not watch them, by the way, but
You ditched me. We were supposed to have a pizza party, and you never showed up.
I was taught, yeah, and he deserved that one. That was payback for the last incident as well. People don't forget, right? But anyways, so from what I read online about it, a lot of people were saying, just like he kind of pointed out there earlier, that it wasn't that bad. I remember in the couple of weeks leading up to this, it seemed like it was going to be a travesty. There's no one to host the Academy Awards, but for a lot of various different reasons, a lot of people said it was great not to have the political commentary on there, all that stuff. The whole Hollywood hates Trump angle wasn't there this year, which they said was kind of nice. They just sort of focused on the art and the entertainment itself, right?
It was nice not to have forced jokes or hey, Ellen's going to try and take a big selfie, or we're going to go into a nearby theater and shoot hot dogs at poor people as they watch A Wrinkle in Time. I mean, yeah, it was nice to not have all these little bits. It was all about the art and all about the movies, which, I mean, is boring for the average Joe, but I appreciated.
Yeah, but if I had to nail down someone, and this is you can take this for what you want, but this is just me, and I would just like to see this guy do this. I would love to have the beautiful bastard Patrick Stewart host the Academy Awards, just because it'd be great to see the captain back in action again, right? I don't care what he's doing. He could be narrating The Little Mermaid, and I would watch it. I do not care. I think he's the coolest guy in the world. He's up there with Steve Irwin in terms of childhood heroes, right? I mean, come on, he's the captain of the Enterprise D.
Yeah, he's a beautiful man.
Yeah, exactly, right? So, yeah, that's who I would personally pick for that. And I think he'd be good at it. And plus, I don't think, as far as I know, he haven't had any scandals or any sketchy encounters or anything come out. He seems clean, right?
Yeah, he does, yeah.
He seems squeaky clean. And he's got that, gorgeous voice to him. He's like a bald Morgan Freeman, right?
He dances and sings in some episode of Star Trek,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
I think
Well, he dances his way out of loads of tangly situations with the Romulans and Klingons all the time,
Yeah.
right? So, yeah, I think he'd be great at it.
Yeah, I mean, I can easily see Lynn hosting, with a big awesome rap intro, just mixing in all the different nominees. It'd be great. I could see Sir Patrick Stewart. His would be a little bit more elevated. I could see him tag teaming with Ian McKellen. It'd be pretty great as well.
It would, yeah.
Yeah. Ham, who would you choose?
All right, so I have to make note. I don't care about the Oscars
I kind
at
of
all.
forced him. Yeah.
Yeah, I sat down and ate Doritos and watched the Oscars with them.
What kind of Doritos?
It was
Inferno, Fiery Hot. What are they?
They're spicy D's. Let's just say that.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
we'll go with
Spicy-
that for now.
that's fine. That or Cool Ranch. I can accept either answer.
Fuck Cool Ranch.
My son.
No, it's all right. But no, I don't care about the Oscars at all. But I would desperately like to see Trump host the Oscars.
Oh my god!
Just because,
High five.
Excellent. no.
Excellent.
Just because
It would be huge.
it'd be huge. Yeah, one. But those like Trump and
Ham,
Hollywood,
what the fuck? I can't believe that.
they just hate each other, and I just love to see them tear each other apart. Like it'd be like absolute chaos. Like it's.
You know what? That'd probably be the most interesting host of the Oscars. That's for sure. I mean, every speech would be a.
Do you know what
yeah.
Hollywood? Do you know what Hollywood gave me to do this? Nothing. Very bad deal. The worst deal in history. Very bad deal.
They would just always be playing the host off the stage, which would be a little
I
bit
love it. I
counterproductive.
love that answer. Well, that's way better than Patrick Stewart. I drive him back to Britain to see that happen.
But yeah, like I don't care about Trump and I don't care about Hollywood, so I think it'd be great to just.
You just want to burn it to the ground.
I just want to see them burn it to the ground.
And that's kind of similar to my own answer, actually. Just after last night, I did have a couple of people I was thinking in my mind. I was like, The Rock. I mean, he's an easy choice.
That was the second
He'd
for
be
me.
a great host for the Oscars. I was thinking about my boy Leo DiCaprio. He finally won his Oscars. If he can get off his yacht with all of his Russian supermodels, I mean, I'd like to see him up there, see what he got to do. It'd probably be boring as all
Toddy
hell.
froze 20 years ago, and his girlfriend wouldn't let him get on the door. Did he
Movies,
survive
Josh.
that?
Movies. But yeah, after last night, I thought about, I got to answer the question. I can't just say no host, which I do think was a better choice. I hope they go forward with that. So if I had to throw a host back to last week, just make sure a host never happens again. I was thinking of Will Smith. And the reason why I go
Not
with
Justice Smith?
no, I mean, that would be a good choice
That's a
too,
guarantee
actually.
way to end it. Watch Fallen Kingdom, and you'll know exactly why. Good way to kill anything.
I'm going with Will Smith solely because he's ruining everything nowadays. His whole career is down the toilet. He led YouTube Rewind, so if you're an internet person, he started that off, and it was just poorly received. And most importantly, Aladdin looks disastrous.
Terrible.
It looks so bad, and that's like one of my favorite movies from my childhood, like an animated movie, and it looks terrible. And the CGI is blue; it looks terrible, but I do think he has the chance of being a host. He'd be able to bring out his whole millennium, be rapping along the Fresh Prince whole persona. I could see him fitting a lot of the demographics that they're looking for in a host nowadays. So it's very possible he could have hosted, but from his track record of the last couple months, he would have ruined it. It would have been disastrous, and they would have went forward with the 92nd Academy Awards with no host, and we would have got here 1 year later. But I hope they never bring back a host again. It was a great show without it.
If you put Justice Smith in there, just one more thing, I think they might have actually changed it and have the 91st one without no host, because they probably would have just taped the whole fucking thing again, because it would have been so bad. That's what they should have done with Fallen Kingdom.
Oh my. But yeah, it was a good show. I really liked it. So, I mean, with that, I'll toss it over to Grace. What's your topic this week?
Okay, so it's another, story-driven topic. Mine was strangest work experience. Now, Ham, I know you certainly have no shortage of sketchy work experiences, so I knew you would top us all, and you probably will anyways. But I just kind of wanted to open it up of just strange things that have happened at work. And mine is, it's pretty tame by all means, but it was just one of those situations that's just incredibly odd, and you never really expect to have to deal with something like that. So my first real job, and I say real job because it wasn't like babysitting or something like that, the kind where you get a paycheck, was at this little shop back home, which is, I guess, best described as a gifts and gourmet store. You don't need anything in this store. This is where you go.
Gifts and gourmet?
Yeah, so you can go and get a brie baker and artisanal fig jam. No one needs anything in this store.
So kind of like Riffs, is it?
Do
they have 33 and a third % off day?
Probably not. But anyway, so no one needs anything in the store, but middle-aged women love it.
It's bougie.
Oh, yeah, it's
Very
bougie as all
bougie.
hell. Anyways. So I worked there for about a year. It was a good job. I didn't mind as far as retail is concerned. I had no problems. But we had so many, food, different types of food in the store. We would have free samples around of different things. So at the fudge counter, you could get free samples of fudge. There were different little dips you could try, different coffees, stuff like this, little crackers, whole wide variety of things. So we had this issue where Sundays at around noon, we would get this group of about 3 little old ladies, probably mid to late 60s, who would come in after church. And they would come in and they would eat all of the free samples in the store.
Were they Newfoundlanders?
Yes.
Were they Newfoundlanders?
So essentially, they would all go to church together and then go out for brunch. But instead of going out for brunch, they would just come and eat us out of all of the free samples.
I love these people.
And Sunday afternoons were typically a really busy time for the store. And they would not only eat all of the free samples, but then they would come and they would hound all the staff and get mad at us for not having more free samples out.
I've seen the same thing happen up to Costco. Same thing.
So it got to be so bad. And of course, then there's other customers who are coming and buying things. Oh, yeah. And by the way, these ladies never bought a thing. They just came in and they like stocked up on like 5 or 6 of the mini cups of coffee. And they would take, little plastic bags out and they would put all the little fudge samples in. It was terrible anyways. And then they would get mad at us when there wasn't enough out there. And it got to the point where we had to have the owner of the store come in on a Sunday and pull these little old ladies aside who apparently their criminal comfort zone was wide enough to come and eat all these free samples.
That's what I was trying to chime in with, but anyways.
Yeah, and tell them that it was not appropriate for them to come and do this. And then we promptly never saw them again. But it was just incredibly strange. Like you shouldn't have to tell someone who is a grandparent, don't do this. It was just incredibly strange.
My pop made a living hopping from appetizer to appetizer counter up to Costco, eating the hors d'oeuvres, or as they call them out that way, arseovers. go over and have a feed of arseovers. So we go over, you get the little, like, the chips and dip, right? And then you'd swing over to the ham and cheese section. And then the chips and dip are pretty good. So you wait the proper increment of time, and then you swing back for a second go at the chips and dip, right? So I could appreciate that.
I think the difference here is kind of like what you were saying about Walmart is, Costco is this mega corporation. They got money to spare. This was like a little mom and pop type place. Like there was someone in the back of the store hand making the fudge.
Yeah, you can't steal.
Sad.
Yeah, you can't steal from a local business.
Yeah.
No, Walmart is a faceless corporation. I mean, wherever you
Rob 'em
work,
blind.
Yeah.
no, terrible.
Yeah. But yeah, it was just an incredibly strange experience. Like you have to watch the owner of the store tell off these little old ladies to not eat you out of house and home. It was just odd.
That is pretty funny.
Yeah, I have so many different weird experiences from my work. I think what I'll probably go
We
with.
have a shared one.
Where do we work together?
No, not that we work together, but this man.
Oh, I'm not going with that one. I'm just gonna talk about Tim Hortons back in the day because that was my first real job, and we ran that place so strangely. I mean, if you go to Tim Hortons in Goose Bay now, there's always a huge line. The drive-thru's never going. It's crowded inside. But when I was 14 years old, we ran that place quick. It was going all the time. It was going with half the staff. And while the place was running, while the drive-thru was going, while we were getting coffee and tea out to everybody, we were having knife fights. We were squirting whipped cream at each other. We were flicking Timbits as far as we can at the drive-thru window. We were using the mop on both the tables and the floor.
I think it still does that down there.
It was disastrous how we were running the place, but we kept it going. It was always going with like 2 or 3 people. But
Not up to health code.
no,
but,
not up to health code. No, I mean, there's nothing wrong with karate chopping a Timbit out the window, but in terms of my weirdest experience there, I'm not going to call him out directly on air, and I think I mentioned this to Grace like last week. But the weirdest thing that ever happened to me there, which is sexual harassment now, or probably assault actually nowadays, when I was serving a customer there one time, a guy I work with came up behind me. He stuck his hand between my legs and he cupped my balls.
I knows exactly who you're talking about.
You know who I'm talking about. As I was taking this person's order, and I had to sit there and take their order as he was grabbing my balls. So he was the person next to me who's the make. So if you do like a large double-double, he's the guy standing next to that. He while you take the order, he makes it real quick for you. And I had to sit there and act like he did not have one hand on my balls and one hand on the cup of coffee as I took the order.
That is definitely sexual assault.
Did you grin? Did you grin?
Oh, I mean, I died
he was
laughing.
grinning ear to ear, right?
I died laughing,
Ear to ear.
But I had to try and keep a straight face as this was happening. And I mean, I probably still have scars from butter knife fights there. I probably still have scars from the toaster trying to get a bagel out for the drive-thru. I have mental scars of me and the baker just fighting with water in the middle of our shift in behind or getting stuck in the freezer. It was a wild place to work, but definitely that one incident on the front cash, that sticks in my mind, I think. Yeah. What about you, Josh? What's your weirdest work experience?
Oh
We'll
my
leave
God.
Ham to end it off.
Well, working in, Goose Bay, there were so many strange things that went on there. Especially I used to work on the base in Goose Bay. And
With who?
well, at the time for this particular story, it was for a security company. And great bunch of guys. I had some friggin' laughs up there too, but really good crowd to work with. But we saw some strange stuff happen. And probably the weirdest thing I ever saw happen was just how we handled what they actually referred to as a 4-legged intruder on the airfield, which means a moose got in on the airfield.
A moose, not a caribou.
A moose got in on the airfield. Now, how did he get in on the airfield? One of the boys fell asleep at the gate, left the enter gate up, and on he trotted right on in through, right? But what was so funny about it, and that stuff happens, right? I mean, it's understandable. What was so strange about it was how they handled it. You would not have known if a Russian spy penetrated the base in there and was about to steal some vital secrets, that was going to unravel all of NATO, right? I could just hear the radio chatter going, right, have you identified the target? Romeo 2, have you identified the target? Do you have a lead on the target? Here's the fucking moose sauntering around in there, trotting past the Twin Otters, and the boys are on their way out to St. John's on the Dash 8 going, oh, geez, that's a moose on the airfield. 10-point buck there, look. You know what I mean? Like, it was just so funny to watch. So anyways, how do you think they got out of there? Do you think, here's the real question. Do you think they were good enough to actually get the moose out of there?
Nah.
I think it wandered off on its own.
No, so all the mines running 5-wing Goose Bay could not get that fucking moose out of the airfield. He actually had to decide to walk out the same way that he walked in before they could find him, subdue him, and get him out. Like, he was a smart moose. So I tell you what he did now. He went straight for the Irving gas tanks. Like one of those big diesel tanks I talked about in the last episode we did. He went straight in there because he fucking knew, see?
So you're saying he was against big oil?
He must, he used them to his advantage. He went in there, right, and he hid away behind it because they couldn't get a clear shot at him, right? You just want to blow up half the base. I'm surprised one of the boys in the military there wasn't excited enough to just say, geez, fuck it, shoot at it anyways and blow up, have Hiroshima and Goose Bay.
Shoot her.
Shoot her, yeah. But anyways, this moose was a clever girl, and he was the better part of, I'll say, 6 hours for sure, because he got in during the night shift. He never got out. I still remember the time. It was like 11:45 before they got that moose out of there. So he was sauntering around inside this secure zone. And if you ever go up to Goose Bay and you talk to anyone from Goose Bay, the way to describe that place is like it is the key to the world, right? Like if Goose Bay goes down, look out. It's good night, Irene. We've lost the war if we lose Goose Bay. And in the meanwhile, it's the only Air Force base with no fucking Air Force. So that'll tell you how important Goose Bay is.
But you do have moose.
Well, we do have moose in ample supply. Maybe we could mount a gun to them or something and be an effective fighting force. Yeah. Moose just came out when he was ready. And then the only way we knew he was out was because someone saw him up by the airport on the other side of the fence. And they said, called down. They said, you realize there's a moose out here? Might get on the airfield? The guys thought about it and they said, what side is the fence is he on? Civilian side or on the inside? And they said, he's on the outside. Oh, good. Which was funny because half of the whole base's force was still out on the airfield looking for the moose, right? So they just all come home out of it, and that was it. So that was definitely the most confusing and funny thing to watch unfold that I ever saw in my life. But yeah, Ham, what do you got?
I got a few stories, honestly. But if I'm gonna get into one, it's probably gonna be the time that a schizophrenic man dropped off a cat at my work. So
it's a nice gift for an 8-hour shift.
Yeah, it was. I mean,
how do you make change for that?
I mean, rolling back, this schizophrenic man named Mark is like a regular occurrence in my life, essentially, at this point. He lives in like a halfway house next to my convenience store. And he'd make his rounds. He'd collect, trash and cigarette butts mostly, and make his way over to the Green Depot and get whatever change he could to buy smokes and lotto tickets or like whatever you get at a convenience store. That's pretty much it. But I remember him like rolling up to me and being like, "Hey, well, how do you feel about cats?" And I was like, I like cats. Cats are great. I wish I could own one now, but I live in an apartment and I can't really do it. And he was like, "Oh, okay, great." So he left.
I love your story voice, by the way.
About 4 hours later, I want to say, he rolls up and he's like has this like jacket full of crap, and he rolls up into the store and just like straight up like rips out this like cat that reeks of cigarettes and throws it on my counter and is like, "There you go, here's your cat." And I'm like, "Okay, great, what the fuck?" And he doesn't even buy anything. He just straight up brought the cat down to me and left. Like, he didn't say anything besides, "Here's the cat."
What'd you do with the cat?
I was just gonna say, what'd you do with him? Old Smokey.
Yeah, what happened to him?
The cat ended up at a shelter, a no-kill shelter. So it had a happy ending, but like it's real fucked up. Like,
but throughout your shift, like how long was it there? What were you doing with the cat?
The cat was just under my shoulder for most of the shift.
Nice.
Quick question: if you had kept the cat, what would you have named it?
Smokey.
Yeah, I was going to say Smokey or maybe Dart or something like that, or Export A or whatever.
Export Greens. Yeah, I don't know. Like that cat was like adorable, but holy shit, it smelled like cigarettes. And like apparently, like there's a few people that like lived in this halfway house with them. Apparently, what ended up happening was their cat ended up having kittens, and they were living there. And Mark was trying to figure out how to like give away the cats, so he was just asking people about it.
And then delivering
And
them?
Delivering the cats. And I'm like, that's great, but like,
yeah, you just drop it off, you can't say no, right? So it takes that out of the equation too.
That's true.
A little bit strategic there, right?
So like maybe he's like has like 1 foot in the door more than I think, but like I don't know. Like that's one of the most bizarre things that's ever happened to me.
Yeah.
Besides like someone lighting themselves on fire, but like that's a whole different story.
Story for another time.
Yeah, that's definitely way more crazy, but
that's more dark, but
that's
like,
a tragic tale, yeah.
Yeah.
Good laugh though.
I don't know about that.
Well, I tell you what, when you told me that story, I laughed because it couldn't have been true. It was
like
too
the absurdity.
yeah, it was just too crazy. But anyways, story for another time.
Yeah.
If you want to tell it some other time. Yeah.
All right. So, Ham, what's your topic?
Oh,
More talking.
I have to do more talking. Okay. I wanted to get into the best childhood toys that came with like a TV show or movie in your case.
Yes.
So I just wanted to bring up the fact that like Beast Wars definitely had the best toys by far.
All right, that's the end
Or
of the
Beasties.
topic.
or
That's it for the show
Beasties.
this week.
That's my
Beasties, depending on where you live.
yeah, that's true. But that's my Kanye moment. Beasties was definitely the best toys. You had like the dope like dragon fucking
Megatron, yeah.
the regular Megatron. He was basically this, except he turned into a robot.
And
which
he
is
was
sick.
Purple.
He was deadly, yeah.
You had like all the Optimus Primes.
Oh, the big gorilla one was pretty sweet, even though like when his chest fell down, it looked really strange.
Yeah,
but,
it was kind of weird.
Yeah.
And
Cheetor.
Dinobot.
Cheetor.
Remember Dinobot?
I had
That was my
Dinobot.
favorite one.
He was sweet. I love Dinobot. But yeah, no, those were pretty sick. Yeah, besides that though, I think probably Pokemon might have been
Oh, well, that's
good-
mine
a
100%.
good one.
Like Pokemon, especially the Burger King ones that came
oh my
out
God.
after the Pokemon movie.
Do you remember the golden plaques?
Yes, sir.
That was great.
Do I remember them? I got them all up the side of the wall. No, I'm just joking.
Those were investments.
Well, I mean, at the time, this is so stunned when you think
Worth
about it,
a
right?
fortune.
But at the time, grade probably 5 or 6 at the time.
Yeah.
Mother take you down to Burger King, right? And you go on in there and you get your Whopper meal, get this toy, and they're giving me a gold fucking plaque. What a steal of a deal for $4.99, right?
Yeah.
For Junior Whopper combo.
This beautiful golden Charizard blowing
Oh,
flames. Oh man.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
But in terms of toys, and I know that I don't know if we could really consider this a toy, but probably the most prized possession that I ever had that's like a toy would be the time that I unwrapped the trading cards and got the fucking shiny Charizard. Well, blessed hallelujah. Like, it was a good day that day. Holy fuck, was I ever excited. I used to be so nervous because that was like the true sign of fandom was, do you have a shiny Charizard in your collection? Well, no, we'll get the fuck out. There's only cool kids over here, right? So anyways, when we used to buy them, right, and we were poor too at the time, but on the way like home, every now and again, usually on a Friday, Mom would stop in and she'd buy me a little pack of cards or something, right? I'd be out there quivering in the tracker, froze to death, -40, couldn't fucking wait. So she'd come out and I'd be that nervous. I used to get her to open the packs for me.
Oh my God.
Right?
Oh,
and then,
man.
and I remember, I'll never forget it. I remember Mom opened the pack this one time and she said, sorry, love. And I said, I never said fuck. At the time, I probably said shoot. Gosh darn it. Something like that. And she goes, you're not going to have anything to look forward to now because you finally got your card. And she shows her over. Oh, I just about split in two. I was that excited. Just like a firework. Gone, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It was great. For me, like, nothing even comes close to Pokemon growing up. Especially, like, the trading cards and the toys. Used to buy them down to North Mart, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
The little polyurethane toys or whatever.
No articulation on them, just
No.
these piece of plastic. Probably cost $1 to make in China, selling them for
they were great.
$20 at
You'd be
North
going
Mart.
around with one-armed Pikachus and stuff because
Oh,
you'd be
yeah.
breaking them off all the
Yeah.
time, right?
I-
But good
Charmander's
stuff.
tail always getting cracked
The
out.
flame, used to come out. That was
gone.
Garrett. Poor design on that, by the way. But anyways, yeah. So that was definitely mine. Pokemon by far was the number one like toy in my life, whether it was on cards, on film, games. Obviously, that's a
Oh, yeah.
whole nother topic.
Yeah,
like we could
that's
spend a
true.
whole hour talking
Yeah,
about
let's
like
not get into that one.
yeah, red, blue, gold, silver. What was your favorite? But anyways, drop a comment by the way if you want to share
Yeah.
that. But anyways, yeah. So Pokemon was definitely mine. So
Were you a big fan of the TV series as well? Like, what about you, Ham? Like Transformers Beasties. You watch much of that?
I watch that like every Saturday in my underwear.
All
I
right.
just want to shout out to like being poor and going to North Mart. I
Good spot.
I
Great
I-
spot to keep you poor, actually.
yeah,
is, yeah.
yeah.
it's the only
I-
place you can buy a block of cheese for $15. But
Oh.
anyway,
I straight up like asked my dad once to buy me Dinobot when we weren't poor anymore, and it crushed my dad. Like
Oh my
that's so
gosh,
terrible.
That's so sad.
I'm like I wasn't trying to like rag on my dad and be like fuck you guys, I'm poor, but like
I have to ask, did you ever get Dinobot?
I know you
I-
beat me to it.
he got me Dinobot for my
Oh.
birthday. It was
Oh,
that was
yeah.
sick.
Well done.
Well done.
So shout out my dad for getting me Dinobot. That's great.
Mhm.
Thank you.
But yeah, in terms of the show, I watched the fuck out of that. That was like my favorite show. Especially, I love the Orange Islands. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah. That was like
The
a
season
20 or 30 episode
yeah.
offshoot. Yeah.
Love the Orange Islands. I thought that stuff was great. Did you watch any of that, Grace? Any Pokemon? Or?
I definitely watched Pokemon. I think I was a bigger Digimon fan,
Uh,
which I know most people are like pretty against.
I think Ham's with you on this one.
I actually
but-
do like Digimon more, but
Yeah.
like Pokemon's still sick.
Yeah. Well, I mean, nothing against Pokemon. And I had a ton of cards. And when, you brought up this topic, Ham, I was thinking, and definitely anime universes have the best toy bundles. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Like it's like they're designed to
Designed to
sell
sell, yeah.
toys, right? And then Josh, you brought up an interesting topic about the toys you get in meals, because I hadn't even thought about that, because I remember my favorite McDonald's toy that I got was when the movie Mulan came out.
Oh shit.
They
McDonald's.
had so way back in the day when I still
Nice.
ate
I
McDonald's.
We're recording, right?
Yeah.
I got it on camera that she's eating at
Used
McDonald's.
to be
Well,
a
I
fan of
mean-
McDonald's. You heard it here
Well,
first.
I mean, Mulan probably came out. I think that was 2000.
Might have been earlier.
think.
Did you have the Szechuan sauce?
I have no idea. All I know is that they came with these spinning tops, the ones where you like run them across the table and then you drop them and they spin. And they
Beyblades.
were excellent. No, nothing as fancy as Beyblades, although I did think about Beyblades. My brothers were big Beyblades fans. But I thought about those toys, but probably, going over to friends' houses and getting so excited by their Sailor Moon toys was probably it. I don't think I had
Those
any.
are expensive.
I know. I didn't have any. And there was no North Mart around for me to buy them at.
Should have stolen.
But like the wand and stuff like that, I loved Sailor Moon. So like definitely Sailor Moon toys were something like, if I had a friend who had those, like her scepter or her wand or whatever, or tiara,
Oh, yeah.
that was very exciting.
There was one Sailor Moon toy, if I'm not mistaken, that used to like press a button on
and
it.
it would
It would
spin.
spin and then
Yeah.
shoot off. And
Oh,
it was-
yeah.
Yeah, and it would fly in the sky. That was a
Yeah.
pretty sick one.
Kind
yeah.
of like Sky Dancers, which was another one that Sky Dancers, they probably only had one
Not
season.
familiar with that one.
Yeah, and they had these like little fairy type things, and you would plug them into this wand thing. You'd hold it, and you'd rip the cord, and they would go flying
remember.
up, and they would
Yeah,
spin.
I remember
right?
that.
Okay.
So that was my other thing that I was throwing around, but definitely like the thrill of going to someone's house and they had Sailor Moon toys. That's
They
probably
take
up
off
there.
like a helicopter, right? The ones
Yep.
you're talking about. Oh,
Yep,
they go
exactly.
like a banshee too.
Oh,
You get a good howl, just like howling over Skidoo,
Yeah.
right? Holler over and up she'd go.
Yeah,
Mm.
we're not allowed to play with those inside the house and point them away from your brother.
I think I do remember people playing with those. I just don't remember the TV show it was
I'm
based
fairly
on.
We
Yeah.
didn't
certain
have
there
them.
was a
See,
TV
we
show.
had the welfare knockoff ones down to Northmart. Like it wasn't the TV show
Ah.
stuff. It would be like a dragonfly or something.
Oh,
on
okay.
top. You'd rip her off and he'd fly up 3 feet, fall
That's probably
apart,
what I remember then.
fall
yeah.
apart like a
Yeah.
comet entering the
Yeah.
atmosphere, right?
I'm fairly certain there was a show, but I'm not positive, which is why I didn't go with it.
Unlike the anime ones too, like Gundam had sick toys.
They did, yeah.
Like anything with giant robots, great toys.
Bionicle was
Yeah.
pretty sweet
I
time.
forgot they
That
had a
was fun putting
show.
them together too.
Oh yeah,
That was
I mean,
like engineering for
Mhm.
kids.
The show for that one sucked though.
the show sucked, and so did
Yeah.
the movie. But yeah, Bionicles were pretty sweet. My choice, it's pretty obvious. There's one right here on the table. I actually have a really good story about this guy, which my choice for it is just dinosaurs, and I had to make Ham kind of shift the scope of the topic a little bit, just because all of my dinosaurs, like that is pretty much what I played with as a kid. Like whether or not it was just playing it on the living room floor or in the bathtub. I mean, I don't know how many times I'd have like the Stegosaurus in the bathtub fighting a T-Rex or something, like all
And
the
drown
time.
them both.
You drown them both, and then sometimes you get the cheap ones that you press on their gut and it spits the water at
Oh,
you.
yes.
Yeah. But this guy here, I actually got him on my 5th birthday from my Aunt Lil. And how I wound up getting it was there was a pair of twin girls next door, and they were coming to my birthday party. I never even got to have this birthday party. But anyways, they were coming over, and before they entered the house, they tripped me, and I split my head on the concrete stairs outside.
Wow.
So I never did get to have my birthday party for my 5th birthday. I was rushed to the hospital up on base at the time. I mean, the
Oh.
hospital's gone now. But when I was in there getting my stitches, snot and balling, blubbering, my Aunt Lil came in and brought me this T-Rex right here. And I mean, I played with that thing all the time. It has a little controller here in the back that hopefully you can't see on camera, but he walks very slowly. He roars. It's a pretty lame toy compared to Transformers or compared to Pokemon cards, but as a kid, I just loved that thing, so much so that I had to keep it on the set here. In terms of dinosaur toys, there was a T-Rex or a baby T-Rex from The Lost World.
Yep.
That the little piece of his leg was missing. Do you remember?
You can see the bone on
See the
there. I
bones?
remember.
I played with
Oh,
that
yeah.
thing all the time
remember
until
that
I
one,
finally
though.
lost the skin flap on it, so his leg was just always broken. Yeah, it's definitely dinosaurs for me when it comes to
Imagine
toys.
if you just woke up on base out of your coma and you were just getting that toy. What
Oh
an
my-
inception
Oh
topic.
my god, let's not think about
This is
that.
an inception. None of this is real.
But yeah, just the T-Rex for me. When you mentioned the Dragon Megazord in passing, like my cousin Clayton across the street when I was growing up, he actually had really good toys. He had this toy from, I think it was like Small Soldiers.
Yep.
Yeah. There was a weird like spinning guy or a weird like zany monster in Small Soldiers, and he had this weird knockoff that was like kind of covered in acid, and he was like blue and orange, and obviously, I mean, complementary colors. It was very interesting. And you'd press on his back and he'd spin really fast, and it was a pretty sick toy. And yeah, just the big dragon Megatron. I didn't have that, but oftentimes I'd go over to his house and kind of steal it on him and play with it, fly it around the living room or whatever. But yeah, for me, it was pretty much all dinosaurs, all Jurassic Park. Most of the time, they weren't actually licensed Jurassic Park toys. They were just the cheap, buy a bag of them for, I don't know, probably a fortune at Northmart. But just the cheap plastic ones, no articulation. They just sit there and just kind of smash them together. That's,
I feel like we need a what's your favorite dinosaur topic at some point.
Oh, I got that on the list. Don't worry. That'll come up
100%.
at some point. Yeah. But, yeah.
No, I think that's pretty good. I just want to bring up the fact that like all dinosaur toys are basically dinosaurs because they're made out of petroplastic.
Oh, fossil fuels. I see what you
Oh.
did there. Look at Bill Nye over here bringing out the random facts.
I was wondering where you're going with that. I was like, no shit, dinosaur toys or dinosaurs ham. But yeah.
Unless they're Transformers.
Except for the ones where they put feathers on the T-Rex. Those are bullshit. Those are not real dinosaur
those don't
toys.
count. No. I guess as just like a final, before we move on, like and end the show, the little dinosaurs, more dinosaurs. The ones where you'd kind of, it was like a block of sand. And you take the little pickaxe and you chip it away and make it was like a fossil in it.
Yeah, I remember those.
No TV show based on that. I mean, it does happen in Jurassic Park, but that stuff.
Did you actually do that? Did you excavate that?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I farted in the bathtub and just let her fall apart and get right to the skeleton.
Oh, no, man. I excavated that. Just like Grant there, sweeping away.
Alan Grant.
Yeah. Alan Grant there,
Yeah, I
just
did that
sweeping
too.
away. Yeah. Toothbrush to it, going along. Yeah.
Cool, interesting. Well, I didn't have time for that. That cut into the Pokemon watching time, so I just fire in the bathtub, bit of hot water on her, fell apart, just like hot knife through butter.
Yeah, and I never got into the Pokemon cards much. I didn't know how to play the game, and I don't think most people in Goose Bay knew how to play the game.
I didn't know how to play the game either.
But Yu-Gi-Oh, if we're going to go with a card game,
Oh, yeah.
that was my big one. That was the type of thing where...
Blue Eyes White Dragon.
Yeah,
her.
it's basically your story of like my mom driving me up to Baby Canics because they're the only spot in town that has them left in stock.
I know.
Or going down to Northmart a lot like yourself on Friday, going grocery shopping with mom, just hoping she'd buy you a pack of Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Or when you had a little bit of money or allowance yourself, walk over to Linda's, and get them there, which a lot of people would go to Linda's back in the day for Yu-Gi-Oh cards. So Yu-Gi-Oh cards is my Pokemon.
Do you remember there was a big tin tray?
Oh, yeah.
That was it was behind like a glass tray down to Northmart, right? I know we're shitting a lot on Northmart, but this one you deserve because this was a pure deception, like the most foulest deception I've ever seen. There's a big tin, like it was probably like that big on around, like kind of like something you get shortbread in, right?
I know where you're going with this, and this is a story of heartache.
And he was $60 or something, which we're
Yeah,
talking
it's
early double O's,
really
late
expensive.
90s. That's a fortune, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, anyways, that's what I wanted because I knew it said something inside, like over 100 cards. I think it was 100 cards
And it was
actually. And hold on now.
Oh.
So, Christmas comes. That's what I asked for, right? I still remember it. It was a blue tin, had Squirtle on the front of it, right? Not my favorite, wasn't a Charmander, but had to make do because they ran out down to Northmart, right? Whole Labrador story, make do with what you got. So, opens up the Squirtle tin, and I opened her up. And as I looked in, my heart sunk, right? Because they weren't the official trading cards. They were bullshit. They were like, I don't even know if they were cards. I think they were stickers.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Yes, and they were like foolish pictures of them, like Squirtle there with like a umbrella or something stupid like that on the trading card. I was like, this is fuckery. Like this is the worst Christmas ever. This is bullshit, right?
It was when the first movie was coming out, so a lot of it was like promotional stills from the movie. So it'd be like you get a card and it has, I don't know, 5 Pokemon on it, and it's just a blurry screen cap from the movie. And yeah, I think a lot of them were just stickers. It was just garbage. I remember a lot of
I thought
kids.
you were going to say it was full of like, what were they, the energies or whatever?
Oh,
I thought it was
yeah.
just
At
going to
least
be
that's
like
actual
all
Pokemon
green
cards.
energies or something
Yeah.
like that. So yeah, there's over 100 cards, but like they're useless.
No, these
No.
were not even cards. This was
That's
just
worse.
bullshit. Like
Yeah,
it was just disappointment in a tin. That's all it was.
Yeah, I remember a lot of kids getting that and being real upset.
Really
And of
upset,
course, I was old enough at the time to be aware of, like, I didn't really know we were poor at the time, but I was aware that, like, this was a big
ass.
deal because I've been asking for this shit for months. And I was like, no, we can't afford that right now. Come on. Like,
Yeah.
maybe for Christmas, ask for Christmas. So I had to fucking stomach the disappointment. I was dying on the inside, like a black
Aw.
hole in my chest, right?
Yeah.
Because I didn't want what do you think of your gift? Best kind, bye. Like just cringing through my teeth.
What'd you do with it afterwards? You remember what you did with
Fucking
the tin?
farted in the garbage.
Fired.
I think 2 or 3 weeks later, gone.
I remember what a lot of people did is they just kept the tin and got rid of
Yeah.
everything
Yeah.
inside of it and just put their cards in it.
Yeah, that's what I remember most people doing with that.
Yeah, keep that tin as a reminder that sometimes things are if something don't seem right, it's probably not. So keep it as a reminder to yourself before you jump in.
And on that, I think that's the show. I'm Colton,
I'm Josh.
Well,
Grace.
and we're your last podcast. And we'll be back with another episode next Wednesday night and every week until our last. So thank you for watching.
See you later.
Thank you.
later.